Hey yo, what's the deal? You know who it is. It's the Don. Yeah, Tony Teflon, House Teflon, and welcome to Teflon TV. Yeah, and I'm back at you, people. Yes, and I am right back at you exactly right after the next video I did. I'm recording this immediately right after. So a lot of times people, and I have gotten a comment recently of someone saying that I have sold out or on Game of Thrones and I haven't put up any Game of Thrones content and it was only 7 days. A lot of times when I go away for a little bit, it's because I'm working on multiple things. I also have a life and I have things I have to tend to. So I'm sorry that I cannot just put videos out every day. And the videos I do try to put out, it's just not like I am just looking at a book and reading the book right back to you that you could read yourself. I'm trying to figure things out. I know people do videos like that, and they are great, and they're a great source of information for people. But if you want videos like that, there are people who do them. I can't do little videos like that. It's just not my style. So I've been working on something, and this I have been working on for a little bit, and I have come up with it, and I'm done with it. So here we go. I'm going to spit this out for you without further ado. Now, since I have been bombarded with questions about the pink letter since I've started this channel, and I've made 2 videos on the topic, it's still brought to my attention that people think Mance wrote the letter. Now, I've said Stannis is the author many times, but there are a few questions that have popped up recently why people think he did not write it. Now, while I think Stannis wrote the letter, I can be wrong. It's possible. Now, I doubt it, but it is possible. I think that people have really missed what the real story is between Stannis and Mance. So I hope in this video to explain both in one shot. The main thing I hear about the letter is the handwriting. Jon didn't notice or didn't react to the writing of the letter. If Stannis wrote the letter, it would have been written differently and Jon would have noticed. Now, this part, I must say, was brought more to my attention and refreshed my memory by the great Claire Gray. So thank you for that. So here we go. But we see from the opening, when the first time we meet Stannis, he is sending letters out to the lords claiming his right for the throne, saying Joffrey is born by Jaime and Cersei. We see how meticulous he is in the detail in the letter and how everything must be written right, the word the way he wishes it to be. You also see that Stannis is dictating the letter and is not writing it by his own hand. And this seems to be the way most letters are made in Westeros. Lady Dustin says that the maesters write the lords' letters and who knows what they put in it. So, I had to think most lords only sign their names most of the time. In the Theon Winds of Winter chapter, Stannis questions the maester he has in his camp. Stannis did not reply at once. He studied the man before him, his brow furrowed. Get up. The maester rose. You are a maester at the Dreadfort. How is it you are here with us? Lord Ornoff brought me to tend to his wounded. To his wounded or his ravens? Both, your grace. So, since Stannis has a maester from the Dreadfort, we can assume he wrote the letters for the Dreadfort. And since he tends to the ravens, and he is skilled enough to make a map, therefore, if Stannis wrote the pink letter, Jon would not react to the writing if he had the maester from the Dreadfort write it. So, now people say, what about the signature? Now, we see the letter Ramsay sends to Deepwood Mott that is signed, Trueborn Lord of Winterfell, Ramsay Bolton. It is very large, and its signature is larger than everyone else, and that is pointed out. Stannis then takes Deepwood Mott and takes Asher Greyjoy captured. With this, we can see that Stannis has a big example from that letter of how Ramsay signs his name. Large enough for a maester of the Dreadfort to look at and copy, good enough to fool Jon. Now, him being a maester of the Dreadfort, it is not, he could have signed his name before. He may have been used to doing it. And even if he hasn't, he has a big enough copy to look at it and duplicate it. It doesn't have to be exact. It just has to be good enough. We also know the man is pretty good with the pen because he's skilled enough to make a map that he sends off to Ramsay Bolton. Now, this is not a pink letter video, so I will not address things about it I have already done. And if you have not seen that, you can watch my old video, Who Really Wrote the Pink Letter, and I'll get more into it in that one. I'm just going to talk about the things that tie into this video itself. Next, the word bastard is used many times in the letter. It is also used by Stannis. Stannis calls Jon bastard himself. And we see this in Jon's A Dance with Dragons chapter. This had best not be some bastard's trick. Will I trade 300 fighters for 3,000? Aye, I will. I am not an utter fool. If I leave the girl with you as well, do I have your word that you will keep our princess closely? She is not a princess, as you wish, your grace. Do I need to make you swear your oath before a tree? No. Was that a jape? With Stannis, it was hard to tell. Here we see Stannis referring to Jon as a bastard and also Val as a princess, which Jon says the wildlings do not consider her a princess. Now, the next question goes into the video. How does Stannis know Mance is alive? From this video, that is what we have to figure out. If Stannis wrote the letter, he must know Mance is alive, and I agree that he must know that. It seems from the text that only Melisandre, Mance, and Jon know Mance is alive, and Rattleshirt was burnt in this place. And for the reason they kept this a secret is because Stannis is so iron-willed that he must kill Mance. And he says this to Jon himself. Jon 2 in A Dance with Dragons. Even if he were to renounce his kingship, though, the man remains an oath breaker. Suffer one deserter live, and you encourage others to desert. No, laws should be made of iron, not pudding. Mance Rayder's life is forfeit by every law of the 7 kingdoms. And that was Stannis to Jon. So, for good reason it seems, they should hide this from Stannis. He surely would kill Mance and believes he has. But what is Stannis trying to do? Why he is at the war? Number one thing he is trying to do, he's there to fight the others. Number two thing he is trying to do, he is trying to rally troops to the north so he can retake the throne. He says he wants to save the realm to get the throne. So, no matter how you feel about Stannis, and I don't know anyone, no matter how they feel, that says Stannis is stupid, or a fool, a dummy, jackass, dumb fuck, dipshit, ignorant, in any way. Alright? Now here he is again, talking to Jon about Mance. I would hope the truth would please you, sire. Your men call Val a princess, but to the free folk she is only the sister of their king's dead wife. If you force her to marry a man she doesn't want, she is like to slit the throat of her wedding. She is likely to slit his throat on their wedding night. Even if she accepts her husband, that does not mean the wildlings will follow him, or you. The only man that can bind them to your cause is Mance Rayder. I know that, Stannis said unhappily. I have spent hours speaking with that man. He knows much more of our true enemy, and there is cunning in him, I'll grant you. So Stannis plans to get the wildlings on his side, or his plan was to get the wildling on his side, by a marriage, which is the Westeros way. Jon says that won't work, but Stannis already knows this, by talking to Mance for hours. So he knows Mance is the key to the wildlings following him, and he knows that Mance knows how to fight the others. So, if we agree Stannis is no dummy, why would he kill the only person who could help him on both fronts? And I believe that he wouldn't. And this is what I think people have missed. What did Stannis and Mance talk about for hours? Now, the name that ties Stannis and Mance together is Val. And the plan is, or the plan that I believe the Stannis and Mance struck, was to give Winterfell to Val in exchange for Mance's life and control of Stannis getting the control of the Wildling army. Now, Stannis does plan to marry Jon to Val. That is his plan, and that's what he wants. So by him hatching this plan, he kills two birds with one stone. Now, we know this from the chapter in A Storm of Swords. It's Jon. Good King Stannis said, "For surest way to seal a new alliance is with a marriage. I mean to wed my Lord of Winterfell to this wildling princess." Perhaps Jon had ridden with the free folk for too long. He could not help but to laugh. "Your Grace," he said, "captive or no, if you think you can just give Val to me." Now, the reason Stannis calls Val princess at this time is because he has crowned her as such, and he's already given her Winterfell. Val, as of the plan that he has already hatched with Val and Mance. Val agrees to do this for Mance's life. We know she's a strong-willed and she cannot be bullied into something. So she will only do something if it benefits her. And the only thing that would benefit her is for Mance being allowed to live. She begged for his life many a times. This is pointed out in the burning ceremony at the wall. His breastplate was a flaming heart inlaid above his own. Riding his brow was a red gold crown with points like twisting flame. Val stood beside him, tall and fair. They had crowned her with a simple circlet of dark bronze, yet she looked more regal in bronze than Stannis did in gold. Her eyes were gray and fearless and unflinching. So, at this ceremony, she is presented to be the princess, and she seems to be playing her part. So, why isn't she mad Mance is being burnt? That would mean, if Mance is being birthed, that she was hoodwinked, or bamboozled, led astray, ran amok, made to look like a fool. But she's not. And she's a wildling. She should be flipping out. But she's not. She's calm. And I think it's because she knows that that's not Mance being burnt. And I think Stannis knows that too. And that's why he's standing right next to her. And that's why he has the knowledge in the pink letter to write this stuff. Now, more proof Stannis has given Winterfell to Val is the crown she wears. It sounds just like the crown that Robb Stark wore. Lord Hoster Smith had done his work well, and Robb's crown looked much as the others was said to have looked in the tales told by the Stark kings of old. An open circlet of hammered bronze, incised with runes of the first men, surmounted by 9 black iron spikes wrought in the shape of long swords. Of gold and silver and gemstones it had none. Bronze and iron were the metals of winter, dark and strong to fight against the cold. Then Stannis threatens Jon, after Jon refuses his offer. Now this happens in Jon's chapter in the Dance of Dragons. Horpy and Massey aspire to your father's seat. Massey wants the wildling princess too. He once served my brother Robert as a squire and has acquired an appetite for female flesh. Horpy will take Val to wife if I command it, but it's battle he lusts for. As a squire he dreamed of a white cloak, but Cersei Lannister spoke against him, and Robert passed him over, perhaps rightly. Sir Richard is too fond of killing, which would you have as the Lord of Winterfell, Snow? The Smiler or the Slayer? So he says point blank, right there, that whoever marries Val is the Lord of Winterfell. And he's asking Jon which one would he rather prefer. And I think that the final proof that Stannis and Mance made a deal to give Val Winterfell for Mance's life and control of the wildling army is found when Jon talks to Florent. And that is in John 10 of A Dance with Dragon. Axel Florence smiled. The king might say the same if he were here. Yet some provisions must be made for his grace's legal knights. Surely they have followed them so far and at such a course, and we must need to bind these wildlings to king and realm. This marriage is a good first step, but I know that it would please the queen to see the wildling princess wed as well. John sighed. He was weary of explaining that Val was no true princess. No matter how often he told them, they never seemed to hear. You are persistent, Sir Axel, I grant you that. Don't blame me, my lord. Such a prize is not easily won. A nubile girl, I hear, not hard to look on. Good hips, good breasts, well made for whelping children. Who would father these children, Sir Patrick? You? Who better? We Florence have the blood of the old Gardener kings in our veins. Lady Melisandre could perform the rites as she did for Lady Alice and the Magnar. All you're lacking is a bride. Easily remedies. Florence smiled. Smile was so false that it looked painful. Where is she, Lord Snow? Have you moved her to one of your castles? Greyguard or the Shower Tower? Horsborough? The other wenches? He leaned close. Something you have tucked away for your own pleasure. It makes no matter to me so long as she is not with child. I'll get my own sons on her. If you broke her to saddle, well, we are both men of the world, are we not? John had heard enough. Sir Axel, if you truly are the queen's hand, I pity her grace. Florence's face grew flushed with anger. So it is true. You mean to keep her for yourself. I see it now. The bastard wants his father's seat. So he says a prize isn't so easily won and talks about her hips and breasts that he's never seen. But I'm going to tell you a story straight up right now. And this is a true story. All right. At one point in my life, at one time, I was in the club at an after party, and I ran into Steve-O from Jackass. Now, I wasn't there with Steve-O or anything. I just happened to be at this after party. He was at this after party too. And while he was there, we just happened to be at the bar at the same time. But when I did see this cat, and you know, when you see him in real life, some of these celebrities and stuff, and you see him, this is a regular motherfucking dude. This looks like the dude who is in the grocery store walking down the motherfucking block. This is what he looks like, a regular cat. But this motherfucker's chick, let me tell you something about this motherfucker's chick that was rolling with him, was fucking crazy. All right? Crazy. And crazy when you seen it. And I was drinking and shit, and I'm looking at this dude, and I'm like, I'm better looking at it. Look at this motherfucker. So I said to this dude, I was just like, yo, that chick is fucking bad, son. How'd you pull that? And this dude looked at me, and he said to me, son, just like this, he was like, every dude's got a dick, but not every dude's got money. And these models look like they got a lot of money, but they may get $20,000, $30,000 for a gig or maybe more, but they can go 8-9 months in between gigs. He said, so it ain't no hard to tell how to pull these chicks. He gave me a pound and bounced. So when I look at that situation, I kind of can place it to this situation. And I can place it that every chick has got ass and tits. And that's easy. But getting to be a lord of a place with just a marriage, that is the easy that he is talking about. And at the end, he clearly says, so it is true that you mean to keep her for yourself. I see it now. The bastard wants his father's seat. So he connects his father's seat to marrying Val. John does have no control in Winterfell. Stannis has already given it to them. So why is Val picked to be queen of Winterfell? Well, that I would have to do for you in another video. But I will give you one hint. And you can start looking this up before I get it done. And the hint is Val's sigil and Jon's mother's armor. So I hope you enjoyed that video. I really enjoyed making this video and stuff like that. And I hope that, you subscribe, thumbs up it if you like it. Share this shit on Twitter. Share this shit on Facebook. Share this shit around the world. Let's get this motherfucking house rising. Because as I said before, there are pretenders on the throne. And we have to get our house stronger so we can rise. So until next time, you know who it is. It's the Don. Tony Teflon. House Teflon. Teflon 316. We pull the strings here on Teflon TV. Peace and stay sexy.